Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is season 3, episode 3 of the P.W.P Sessions podcast. I am your host, Noelle Figueroa. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I'm excited and honored for this episode. Happy to connect with fellow poet JRose, who is very multifaceted and multidimensional in her own right, which is why we're going to dive into the conversation to find out everything there is to know about the phenomenal JRose. So
Thank
as
you for
I share
having
my
me.
screen, here we go. Sorry about that. So this is season 3, episode 3 of the P.W.P Sessions podcast. And for those that are not already familiar with this podcast, the P.W.P Sessions, or the Poets with Purpose Sessions, is a podcast that I created where I interview new or established authors of poetry, as well as rappers or MCs. I feature a performance of their work and an audience Q&A session. I am your host, Noelle Figueroa. I am a poet, author, blogger, workshop facilitator, and event host, and I am the creator of the P.W.P Sessions podcast. Now, tonight's guest is none other than JRose, and this is her bio.
Oh gosh.
JRose is a spoken word artist born and raised in Queens, New York. Her love for hip hop inspired her to start writing poetry at the tender age of 16. Her profound yet relatable poetry transcends time and covers a wide spectrum of genres, styles, and perspectives. Her writing speaks unapologetically about love, heartbreak, mental health, sexuality, women's empowerment, trauma, and everything in between. In 2015, she decided to take her poetry from paper to the stage, and since then, she's been featured on stages in New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Lancaster, Baltimore, DC, New Orleans, and Tampa. JRose has landed headlining opportunities at the New York Poets Cafe, Inspired Word New York City, Voices in Power, the annual NYC Poetry Festival, Lehman College, Temple College, and many more. Her most recent accomplishments are her first 2 Poetry Slam wins at Brick and the New York Poets Cafe. In 2018, she established a creative platform called the Rose Garden Events and has grown to become a powerhouse beyond the local creative community. The Rose Garden Events produces performance-based events such as monthly open mic nights, showcases, small business expos, Vendiva Expo, writing workshops, and much more. In 2022, the Rose Garden Events expanded to hosting a poetry showcase in New Orleans, Louisiana, and had collaborative events with Boost Mobile, Samsung, the New York Liberty, and NYPD, to name a few. In 2020, JRose launched her first media-based project, a traveling talk show called The JRose Experience. The show brings an intimate look into the creative process of poetry, music, art, and entrepreneurship from the perspective of poets. The JRose Experience has filmed in NYC, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Tampa. JRose also mentors many poets and entrepreneurs who want a successful career doing what they are most passionate about. She facilitates spoken word, creative writing, and social media workshops. She facilitates workshops for incarcerated youths in Rikers Island with Youth Justice Network and has facilitated for the New York Public Library, Urban Stages, Oya Group, QCH NYC, Manifesto NYC, Black Girl Everything, the Newark Public Library, Luminous Minds Project, and many other organizations. JRose is on a path to fulfill her purpose in life, which is to provide safe spaces and outlets for artists and small business owners to be seen and heard. She believes that there is no such thing as a garden with just one flower in it. This idea is the seed that flourished into her consistency and dedication to serve all artistic communities. Stay tuned for bigger opportunities and new poetry projects from JRose for the remainder of 2023 and beyond, with the hashtag Keep Growing. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to center stage JRose. JRose, how are you doing?
Oh my gosh, that's such a long bio. And that's just like, that was updated in January, like this year.
Nah, don't even sweat that, because that's a whole like big chunk of accomplishments to be proud of, and it's outstanding. I'm so excited to have you as my guest. Thank you for taking the time to be on my podcast. I'm excited about this conversation.
Yes, me too. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Excellent, excellent. So to start off, before we dive into what JRose does, I want to ask you who you are. Who is JRose? How would you define yourself or describe yourself?
Ooh, um, JRose is like my Sasha Fierce. You know how Beyonce has her Sasha Fierce.
Right.
JRose is like my alter ego. It's the extroverted extrovert, because my real name is Jasmine, but she is kind of an introverted extrovert. JRose is the extrovert squared, no fear, forced to be reckoned with, not, chameleon that can like shift into any fit into any environment. So JRose is the person that I never got to really have in my life growing up as a young lady. And I feel like that's who JRose is, like that person that I feel like I've probably needed when I was younger.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, before we dive into like all the things that you're active in and the things that you've accomplished, let's start off with the poetry. Like, what is your reason for getting into poetry? Like, what was it about poetry that made you feel that this is something that you can be active with on a regular basis?
Well, I've been writing for over 25 years. I've been writing poetry for over 25 years. Hip hop is what led me to poetry. My love and my affinity for like wordplay, like lyricism was really like, I grew up in that era where like lyricism started getting really, really like clever and like creative, and the wordplay was there. And so I loved hip hop. I still love hip hop. But although I didn't want to be a rapper, and I knew that wasn't like for me. I didn't even want to be a poet to like be on stage either. Like I just was like, all right, I like this. Let me write about how I feel. And what led me to doing this more professionally was I don't know, there was a poem that I wrote many, many years ago. And when I finished writing it, I was like, wow, this is really good. Like, and I had already been writing poetry for a while. I just thought all my stuff was trash. So it was just that one poem, Soldier of Love. I remember the title. It was inspired by an album by Sade. And it was like, I wrote that poem and I was like, wow, I think I can do this. that poem is like, I wrote that poem about maybe like 10, 12 years ago.
Wow. So once you got that down and you decided that this was something to pursue, like what were those first subjects that you decided to write about? Like, do you recall what you started out talking about in the beginning?
Oh, my first poem was like a love poem about a boy that my boyfriend in high school. That was my first poem. It was titled I Believe. And then it got to mostly love poems. I wrote a lot about that. A lot about like heartbreak. That was kind of like my stuff. And then I found myself trying to explore like social issues as well. But I didn't really grow up in a household that like acknowledged social issues and talked about them and things like that. So it was really like a journey of me just understanding like, like my household didn't talk about like any type of struggle of like people of color, so I didn't really even understand it. And then, but I found myself wanting to write about social issues and cultural issues and like, colorism and racism. But I had to learn a lot about it. Like I had to talk to a lot of people about their experiences and listen to a lot of poems and like have these conversations with myself that I never had an adult to talk with about these things. So yeah, it was mostly that stuff. And then when I got a little older, I stepped into like writing erotic poetry, where, you know, for the grown and sexy. And that was something that's actually one of my favorite genres to perform. I find it extremely empowering. I'm a very creative writer when it comes to that genre. So I have a very unique way of wordplay. And then it led into, when I was in my 30s, I stepped into a space of more divine feminine energy kind of poems, empowerment, like uplifting poems. I did have a sad girl poem era. So I definitely got a bunch of sad girl poems.
Right.
But it was an evolution. It's 25 years of just constantly evolving and trying different themes and concepts that I never thought I would even try.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, out of all the things that you choose to write about, is there one particular topic or subject that you like writing about more than others?
Okay, so like I hate writing love poems, right? But I actually am really good at writing them. I have a bunch of love poems that when I perform them, people are like, "Oh my God, you make me want to be in love." Like, so, but what I enjoy the most writing, is the empowerment, like these like, kind of like these braggadocious poems of like um how resilient I am, and how, you know, just like that divine goddess energy poems. That's my vibe right now. That's kind of like my favorite thing to write about. I go through my phases, so that's the phase I'm in right now. Like, I like to talk my ish.
That's what's up. That's what's up. No, but I definitely feel that from you, because I've seen you perform on a couple of occasions, and you do bring that energy where it's like the vibe I get when you're on that floor is like, you're essentially declaring who you are, and that you're taking no crap, and you're like, this is what it is, take it or leave it kind of thing, and
That part.
I feel that energy completely. That's what's up. That's what's up for sure.
Yes.
Now, once you got into the flow of your poetry, when did you make that shift from going to poetry to hosting events? Like, let's dive into the JRose experience. Like,
Uh,
I'm sorry, the Rose Garden events. Like, how did the Rose Garden events come about?
so like I have been writing obviously for a long time already. And so the performance chapter in my journey and the hosting curating chapters literally started at the same exact time. I had been writing for a long time. I was on, on Instagram, kind of like feeling the vibes, and I had connected with a few poets that were on there that shared a lot of their written work. There wasn't like too many performers in the community that I had first connected with. And then I was going through some like life stuff, and I felt very lost. I felt like I was living my life just for my partner, my career, my children. I was living my life for everybody else but myself. And I felt like I needed something for me, something that I can enjoy, I can dive into, something that really fulfills me. So I decided to host an event. And I only thing I knew about poetry events was poetry slams. I didn't really know. I never went to an open mic before. I never performed on stage before. And I was like, I'm gonna host a slam. I'm gonna do that. And I asked a bunch of people in the creative community that I had first connected with, like, hey, if I did a slam, would you come and compete? And a few people said yes. So then I went on a hunt to find more poets to slam at my event. So I went to a few other slams that I saw on social media. I didn't perform. I just went to go meet poets, connected with those, invited them. They wanted to slam. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to perform, even though I'm hosting. I've never hosted anything in my life. and I never performed before, but I guess I gotta figure this out. So I went to the New Yorican because that's the like what other place would you go
Right.
to perform for the first time but there. And I went by myself. This journey of poetry and performance and curating and hosting. Every step, every time took another step, big step, should I say, I
Mhm.
took those big steps by myself. And then those little steps, I took them, people walked with me in those in between steps, but the big steps, I did this by myself. And I hosted my very first slam. As a matter of fact, it was about 8 years ago. In August, it was in the summer. I had like over 100 people come out, and that's because a lot of like, it wasn't even like poets. It was just people that loved me, were excited to finally me getting on stage. They've been dying to see me do something. People have been like, "Oh, I like your poetry. You should say it on stage." But I was terrified.
Right.
Um, and so that's what it was. It took life dragging me, and just this kind of turn of events of like, I'm gonna take this big leap, and I jumped off the cliff with it.
Mm. That's what's up. That's what's up. And how did you feel like once you decided to make that move? Like how did it make you feel like after you made that choice?
I was scared. It was scary. It was scary. I didn't it's still scary. I'm growing at this point it feels like every day. But with every step of that growth, I'm always afraid of what if I lose the magic? What if what if I can't write no more and that's it, all I got is this
Right.
book? What if my performance goes bad? Like, it's just, I'm always nervous. I'm always but not in a bad way, in a way of like, I care. This is important to me, so this is not a bad nervous. I'm just, I'm excited and I really care about this. Even with like any, I have a really big event this month. I've
Mm.
been planning this event for 6 months. From the moment it was an idea to now, it's been 6 months. And these 2.5 weeks leading up to this date is probably going to be the most stressful two and a
Right.
half weeks of the year right now. That I'm going through so much anxiety of just like, I want things to work out. I need these ticket sales. I want things to go timely. I need people that are saying they're going to be here for me and I can depend on for setup and things like that. I'm nervous because these people need to show up for me. And when I got to do it myself, I know I'm gonna take care of it and do it. But when now this is an event where like I'm at the mercy of like other people's reliability and dependability. And that gives me a lot of anxiety because it's like, people are late all the time or they flake, and
Right.
this event can't afford anything like that. So like, I'll be stressed. I poem it out. I poetry it out of myself.
No, I feel you. I feel you completely. But let's talk about that event because it's coming up in about a couple of weeks, right? The Legends Ball, right? Let's tell our audience what that's all about. Like, why is this so major?
Okay, so this is major because it is, for one, the biggest event that I've ever curated in
Mm.
8 years of my curation history.
What's up?
So it's a really
Congratulations.
big deal for me. Thank you. It's big for me because it is a huge lineup, and I don't mean in numbers. I just mean as far as the caliber of artists that are going to be on that stage. It's some of the biggest spoken word poets in the country right now. So I have people coming out from all over the country. I'll drop a few names in case anybody in here is in the poetry scene like that. So we have Mahogany L. Brown, who is a legend in New York City.
Oh,
She is
definitely.
the poet laureate at Lincoln Center. She's a legend in the New Yorker. She hosted the Friday Night Slam for many years. She's a slam champion there. She hosts the Tuesday, the monthly Brooklyn Slam at Brick. Like her bio is forget about mine. Hers like a scroll.
Like next level up, huh?
Yes. We have Maui, who's coming out all the way from Philly. Prentice Powell, who's coming from Oakland. Obi West, who is coming out from Las Vegas. Those are my headliners. And then I have a handful of opening acts that are going to be opening the show, like Cito Blanco, who's also a local poet from New York. He's from the Bronx. Dex McBean from Brooklyn, Amanda Shea from Boston, Jamello, who's from Atlanta. Who am I missing? Baby the Poet, who's from Allentown, Pennsylvania. And then I'm not hosting this event because this is too stressful for me to also be the producer of this and this, So I hired Queen Sheba, who is a Grammy nominated artist. She's a poet legend. She's based in Atlanta. So she's be hosting the event for me. It's going to be catered, so the tickets include catering. So it's going to be catered by a restaurant called Charm. It's being sponsored by organizations like Boost Mobile, Dish Network, Poets and Writers. There's I have about 12 different sponsors. Don't kill me. But yes, so it's a big event. It's at Jamaica Performance Arts Center. It's on Sunday, October 22nd. There's going to be, aside from just the performers that are going to be on the stage, there's going to be like also legendary poets in the audience. Like I have a bunch of people that are like very well-known poets in the scene across the country, international. Yes. Sunday in Jamaica, Queens. Yes, let me tell you, the parking is gonna be perfect. There's gonna be so much parking because it's a Sunday night. So yeah. And the train is right there. Long Island Railroad is like a couple blocks away from the Long Island Railroad and from the E and the J train. So but yes, it's in Queens. I am from Queens. I'm a Queens born and raised New Yorker. So yes.
Wow, that's what's up. That's epic. Congratulations on pulling this together. But how does it feel to put something of this caliber together? Given that you're a phenomenal poet in your own right, like in terms of the lineup itself, like how does it feel to be in the company? Well, in general, the poets that you mentioned that would be in the audience as well as the lineup, like how does it feel for you to be in the company of such phenomenal poets, coming together for this type of event?
I've gotta navigate myself out of the imposter syndrome sometimes because I'm like, what am I doing here? Like what? Like Obi West is texting me right now. Like, are you kidding me? I'm on the phone with Queen. It's very surreal. There's so many full circle moments in just this story because I talked about going to the New Yorker for my first time ever performing. That night that I first went to perform on stage was the first time I ever saw Mahogany Brown and Queen Sheba. Wow. So Mahogany Brown was hosting the Friday Night Slam and Queen Sheba was their featured artist. And I performed at their they have an open mic at the end of the slam that 10 people stick around for, Right. And I got to see the two of them perform. And I sat in that audience and was like, what am I doing here? I could never do that. That's crazy. They were amazing. And it was very inspiring. And now you fast forward to 8 years later, literally 8 years later, and I'm featuring Mahogany Brown on my platform. Queen Sheba's hosting for me. Queen Sheba calls me and to share a poem that she just wrote to get feedback from me. And it's I never even imagined myself being in a space where not only am I in the same space as people I looked up to, but now I'm looked at as a peer to them. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I can't believe it sometimes. I'm like, I sometimes I wonder like, what the hell am I doing here? But then I look at what I've done and the work that I've put in, and the community that I've cultivated here in New York, with my platform. And I'm just like, well, you know what? Why not? I do deserve to know these people. I do deserve to be in the same rooms as these people. I deserve to share stages with these people. I feel like now I gotta navigate myself out of that weird imposter syndrome like moment sometimes.
Right.
I earned this.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Absolutely, I would agree. And yes, and many do suffer with imposter syndrome from time to time. That's only natural. But your track record speaks for itself. I've seen you perform. I've seen the quality of your work. I heard the quality of your work.
Thank you.
Your bio speaks volumes of what you have accomplished. So most definitely clap it up for yourself, because the work that you put in shows. You have proof of the work.
Right.
Not every poet can say that they hit the mic and then they curate events and done all of the things that you've done. You've accomplished them a lot within a short amount of time, and that's definitely something to be proud of, no question.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Now, given everything that you're involved in, and getting back to your writing, one of the words that's thrown around in various circles is representation. Now, in terms of being a poet, when it comes to when it comes to what you write and how you present your writing when you perform, like, how important is it to you that you're representing yourself in your totality? Whether you're talking about your womanhood, whether you're talking about race, ethnicity, religion, if it applies to you, all the things that make you who you are. Like, how important is it to you that you're making sure that you're representing yourself in your totality?
I was somebody once told me, I can't remember who it was. They passed the message that they once learned, and the message was, the more vulnerable you make your work, like the more relatable it is, right? The more universal it is. That's what they said. The more vulnerable you are with your work, the more universal it is. So it's important for me to fully share my voice and my experiences in my writing, or share others' voices and others' experiences in my writing, because I understand the power of words. And I understand how important it is to use your voice, and how special I feel like poets are, or should I say, like, especially poets that like are in the space of performing, because they're in a space where they are being the literal voices for those that are too shy or are afraid, or even haven't even found their voice within themselves, and we're up there as poets just yelling out all their feelings. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten off stage and somebody has walked up to me and said, oh my God, you said everything I've been thinking. This poem was for me. Like, you told my story. And I feel like that the truer to myself I am in my poetry, the more that it's going to connect with more people, because it's real. It's me. Like, what you see, what you hear is what you get. I try my very best to stay as authentic as I can in all spaces, even if it's different versions of myself. That doesn't mean that it's not still authentically me. So I try to just, no matter what space I'm in, I always try to treat people with kindness. I'm a professional. I'm extremely professional. I come from an HR corporate career background before I walked away from all of that crap to actually do what I love.
Right.
So like, I have this natural, like, organizational, like, corporate HR mentality that I do bring into a lot of the work that I do, the business side of what I do as a poet and a curator. But it's important for me to be myself. Even if I'm telling somebody else's story, I'm going to say it the best way that I can say it to represent them, but it's still me. Like I'm still sharing a piece of myself in there. So yeah, like I try very hard. It's very important to me.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, who or what would you give credit to in terms of helping you develop your skills as a writer?
Oh my gosh. Every poet I ever listened to, like
Everybody, huh?
even the good
Everybody.
ones, the bad ones, because I've heard some pretty like oh gosh, the cringy poems. But it honestly, listening to other poets from all over the world is one of my biggest inspirations. I took about 4 years off of writing up more and performing more. I was focused on building my platform and creating space for others. But what I say is that was probably the best 4 years I ever did for myself, because the amount of inspiration that I subconsciously soaked in by just being a listener most of the time and not being a performer, and even staying off the pen, it when it was time to pick up that pen and start writing again, like I tell you, the last like 2 years, I've probably written like some of the best work I've written in the last 15 years. And I think it's because I took those 4 years off, a break of writing. I was writing like maybe one poem a year, where now the last 2 years I've written about 3 or 4 poems in a year, which is a lot for me because these poems are always going to be stage poems. I don't just write to leave it in the page anymore. Everything I write is for the stage. So those pieces take more time. I got to memorize them. So yeah, I'm at like four poems a year now. And they are solid. Like I'm very, very proud of what I've written recently.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Because sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to step away in order to get a fresh perspective. Because when you write, you don't want to force anything on paper, because when you force it, it's not going to come out right, and it's not going to translate to the stage properly.
Yeah, I can't force it. It's like I literally like physically just can't. I will fall asleep. I'll throw the phone away. Like I'm just like I can't force it. It has to be. And for me, like the Holy Spirit of poetry be hitting me in the most random times. I'll be driving and I'm like, why does poem want to come to me right now?
You
Like
gotta pull over and start writing.
I'm like text to speech to text, and I'm like, that's not what I said.
Oh man, that's madness. But it be true though. That's why I always walk. Folk be like, why you always got a backpack? Because I have my pen and my paper, and I gotta stay ready. I got it in my bag.
I gotta have
something in my head,
got
like,
my
oh, I gotta,
poems.
you know what I'm saying?
My
I
poems in my
walk
bag.
ready. You know what I'm saying? That's how you gotta do when you're a creative. You know what I'm saying? Word.
I hear that.
Awesome. And see that now that provides the perfect segue to our next segment. Because now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for JRose to take the mic. Now at this time, I want to give you space to do up to 5 poems. You don't
Oh
have
my
to do
gosh.
5. You don't have to do 5 if you don't want to, but I want to give you this space, to share some of your poetry so our audience can have an idea of who you are and what your writing style is about. So at this time, the floor is yours.
All right. All right. I'll start with some sad girl poems so we can get the sad things out of the way. Is there a language restriction? Like if I say a bad word?
No, there's no filter. There's no filter.
Okay.
As long as it's not over the top explicit, you're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not doing any erotic poetry, so don't
Okay, no,
worry.
you're good. You're good.
Listen, John. All right. This is a poem I haven't thought about writing yet. I say that because to think of the words I'd write would require me to unzip the scars from my wrists and untwist the lies from my lips when I said I'm okay. I'd have to watch every regret drip slowly from reopened wounds I'd rather forget. How I wish they bled shooting stars instead of the ink I'd use to write myself to death and name my pen suicide. Dying by way of punctuation from slicing commas off of semicolons to end my life sentence like a period. What a poetic way to go. This is a poem I haven't thought about writing yet to get this. This is a poem I haven't thought about writing yet to fathom these words. I'd have to resurrect phantoms from forgotten forevers. Shadow box with my darkest truths. Get dirt under my nails, digging for my deepest roots. Invalidate the self-validation it took me over 30 years to pursue. I'd have to become an alchemist of self-esteem, breaking down this confidence into manipulation so that I can feel guilt again. Have my dignity on tilt again, let my garden wilt again. I'd have to remember how self-loathing mocked me in my own mirror, mimicking me maliciously when all I wanted was to be seen. I mean, that's why I looked in the first place. But instead of being met with warm eyes and a bright smile, the first thing I saw was disgrace, followed by disappointment, topped off by who the hell am I to think anyone gives 15 seconds of fucks about the stories that last more than 24 hours. When life is viewed through portrait mode and I never seem to fit that frame. This is a poem I haven't thought about writing yet. To get this shit out, I'd have to board domestic flights to states of violence, only to escape and end up nestled under neglect like a vow of silence. To pen these planes, I'd have to depart from denial and ascend to acceptance, land in terminals of truth and let the baggage claim my existence. I keep filling up these suitcases with shit I don't even use at home, feeling like shit. I don't really have a home because I don't remember the last place I left that piece of my heart at. Maybe it dripped from the tears I cried the last day I wanted to die, or maybe it's in the hands of the man that dangled dreams of marriage like carrots, never proposing with those carrots. How I wish it was still stitched to my sleeve so I could stop fake believing in love and just be. This is a poem I haven't thought about writing yet. To get this deep, I'd have to drown in rivers like I bathe, sacrifice my life to give life like I'm bait. Pour every sharp edge of my shattered shame like scattered showers of splatter blame, like it was my fault misogyny offered me monogamy. Like I wanted it even though I said I didn't. Like I wanted it even though I said I didn't. Like I wanted it even though I said I didn't. I guess my nervous laughs translated my no's into yeses. Or maybe I gave in because of my untreated coping methods, feeling worthless with every touch, hating every second, trying to survive in my mind just to find my faults in the wreckage, where chapters of my crumbled thoughts lay buried under a self-sabotaging tomb. Body once a mausoleum for the souls of men who never even worshipped the womb. This is a poem I haven't thought about writing yet. To write this poem, I had to chameleon blend into my poor decisions until I stopped dreaming and broken. Wake up in time to FaceTime raw realities like they don't really love me. They just love how my art makes them feel. And these men don't really want me. They just love how my heart helps them heal. And this pain is entrapped. I'm just addicted to how real it makes me feel. See, to write this poem, I had to pour too much darkness onto these pages, conjure demons onto these stages when all I want to do is erase them like eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. Take these memories and fuck a rewind. I'm sorry. Not every poem has a happy ending. To write this poem, I had to stop pretending like these scars aren't here for a reason. Like shit doesn't hurt for more than 4 seasons. So when I say to you, this is a poem I haven't thought about writing yet, please understand. I'm just keeping my scars zipped so these stories stay clipped like weeds in my garden. Thank you. Whew. All right. That's the longest one I got. Let's oh, it's a heavy one too. Thank you so much. Thank you. And yes, feel free to engage in the chat. Because I can't see you snapping and clapping and all that good stuff. And that gives me some vibes. That gives me the energy. Okay, where are we going now? Let's all right, let's do some love stuff. I'm in my soft girl era, okay? All right. I never knew addiction until I met you. Yet this slight obsession has me second guessing if you're a blessing or just another lesson. Have I finally manifested, or are my history books repeating my past as my present? They say timing is everything. Yet time never seems to exist when we make time to coexist. So time feels infinite with every kiss placed on my lips. More than enough seconds to come back for seconds. Minutes turn into hours. Conversations are endless. I never knew addiction until I met you. I mean, I never wanted something so good, so bad. Gambling with my heart because the biggest risk is a risk not taken. And all bets were off the moment your shot was taken. Like filet mignon on the Empire State, the stakes were raised, and you bet on yourself. Won me over, but this ain't no race. There's no track, just track marks of beauty freckled across your face. See, I'm not afraid to tell a man he is beautiful. Body just the right type, chin resting above my head, just the right height, smiles that seem to appear when I step into the room, as if you've just seen a shooting star. No one has ever looked at me with such affinity, and when you wink at me, it feels like I'm the one, your trinity. I never knew addiction until I met you. From the first smile to the first kiss to the first time I let you hit. Who knew addiction would feel like bliss without the ignorance? But here I am, popping pills prescribed by your praises, written on the most intimate pages. I'm not talking about the ones penned in the nude while the moonlight dances on our grins. I mean the ones shared over held-back tears and the confessions of our sins, making it safe to deposit your insecurities into my skin. I absorb you like litmus. And although there's some acidity in your past, you're still balanced in divinity from infinity like a blast off the wagon. I thought I was finished with this fixation for a worthy king, but you are the type of addiction that brings a goddess to her knees to worship thee so willingly. You're like kryptonite, but it's giving strength, like the chopping block, but it's giving length, like a needle in my veins, piercing through layers of scars, just to pump me full of affirmations, reassurance, and defection. How is it possible to be my vice and my recovery at the same damn time? Because 12 hits of you feels like 12 steps toward truth. So it's no surprise I'd move mountains to step closer to you. Getting higher for you is like getting higher for me. Twin flames mirrored by the sun, stealing the destiny of what I was meant to be. The future is unknown, so let's turn the present to a home, open palms full of past traumas, and just let them go. I never knew addiction until I met you. Admitting that I'm powerless is the first step. So here I am. Hi, I'm JRose, and I'm an addict. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Let me see. What can I do next? I'll just want my divine feminine vibes. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I got two more for y'all. All right. It's always wild to me when they ask, how am I still single? As if I'm the personification of all that glitters ain't gold, as if beneath the surface there's soil too toxic to plant roots so bold. But that's far from the truth. I'm single because I know how potent my love is. And I have yet to meet someone worthy of that addiction. See, my love pumps like written storms in veins. It's nonfiction. And most men don't have enough heart to hold this much magic. They lack diction. They'd rather step to me because all they see is my body, only to find out that this vessel carries the soul of a divine goddess, and she's not here to play games. I need that divine masculine claim to connect on the same frequency, and only then can he receive my love frequently, because I've only got time for growth, so he's got to be willing to pour into me. And reciprocity is key, but he's got to be willing to reciprocity is key, but he's got to unlock his inner chi so he can get the overflow of this inner G. And I know nobody's perfect, but balance is important. A prototypical blend of needed and chosen, because although my love is healing, it's not meant for the broken. My love ain't Mrs. Fix It, it just fits in. Like his favorite hoodie when that crisp fall air starts to slip in, my love be warmth. It be the difference, subtracting issues from trust and summing things up like addition. And I know I didn't follow PEMDAS, but my love doesn't follow the rules anyway, so fuck it. My love be spiritual. It be knees on pews. It be lips pouring answered prayers against pressed palms. It's the peace you feel when stage starts to burn. It calms and it cleanses. It speaks more than 5 love languages with more than 5 senses. My love be shelter from storms. Familiar when everything feels foreign. My love be home. But not the dysfunctional one most of us grew up in. Nah, it's the one that holds no space for generational curses, where we treat our love like sacred verses and not our verses. My love be fingertips playing in his beard while he listens to the poems beating in my chest. It takes doubts to the bedroom just to lay them to rest. It be cooking lunch in his t-shirt while he's still tasting breakfast on his breath, like the sweet honey dripping from my desk. My love be blessed. It be fire to icebox, melting away glaciers of past lovers' cold shoulders. It be shoulder to cry on, back to rely on. My love be the belt that keeps Orion hunting the night skies, the gravitational pull that tethers his sun to my moon like perennial soul ties. My love be celestial. It be stars skipping across time and space like the heartbeats of extraterrestrials. Loving beyond the outer limits of anything conventional. My love be transformational. A never-ending Tuesday. Shit. Because even a day of the week and a day for the week, so my love stands strong in the face of defeat. So to any single men out there, before you shoot your shot and try to latch me down, let me give you this disclosure. Now that you've seen the light of my love like exposure, I ask you to develop understanding that this is also the type of love I want and deserve without demanding. So your intentions better be aligned, because this queen only got time for a king. Thank you. He's not down here. No. They're looking for my son. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My son is like the nomad in the house. He's just in different rooms. Okay. So let me see. What am I gonna do? Okay, so I'm gonna end with a poem that I've recently finished writing. I think I'm done. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so this poem is about being my ancestors' wildest dreams. Okay. It said the women in my bloodline carried villages on their backs, stored history within their tongue, and birthed gods ruled by fire. Matriarch martyrs moving like midnight marauders, guiding lost tribes through quests suited in armor, rooted like arbor, or more like árboles. Stealing the night right from under las estrellas, replacing it with hand-drawn maps on canvases hung miles away from the sketches of Spain, painting picture-perfect portraits to praise Atabey. Anointing the sky with a bitch's brew made from a new kind of blue, where X marks the exceptional, the extravagant, the exhausted. No sleep, yet their beauty still blanketed in boldness, like brave mama bears tiptoeing in glass chancletas. Hush. If it's quiet enough, you'll hear their spells of protection whispering in the wind like bendiciones. Can you hear them? Storytellers echoing against Taino pyramid walls, parables with the percussion of an untold past, giving life to prophecies stitched along the seams of my purpose. I am the ender, the breaker, the giver, and the taker. They've made some mistakes, but I've been chosen to be greater. Making lemonade from not so freshly squeezed generational lemons. Imagine the burning in my throat from sipping on sour curses just to wash down lies fed to me. Must be why embers exude every time I speak, unearthing words, unbinding seeds from rotting roots to unhiding weeds, shredding letters never written through my teeth and calling it poetry. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. The inhale, the exhale, and everything in between. They bask in every boundary I bind to my beliefs. They roll off every R that breaks through American English walls erected on native tongues. Bailan bomba, hips sway and twist along the coils of my curls, cantando canciones de los dioses, chanting storms into my eyes so you can see them smile and rejoice. Rip skies open with lightning strikes so you can hear thunder rumble in my voice. They flow through my veins like sangre de oro, so that every time I bleed, there's a gold rush. Because the biggest lie ever told is that my ancestors are dead. Thank you.
Yo, oh, ladies and gentlemen, y'all just heard some fire poetics from the one and only JRose.
Thank
Oh
you.
man, that was off the charts for real.
Thank you so much.
For real,
Thank
that's
you.
what's up. Blazing poetry, no question.
Ooh. Let me
Dope
get some
poetry. Oh my
water.
God. Now at this time, y'all, we're gonna shift gears. We're gonna take these last few minutes to do a Q&A with JRose. So if there's anyone in the audience at this time that has a question or a comment for JRose, you can feel free to unmute yourself and give your question or comment at this time. Don't be shy, y'all. Don't be shy. I know John Chance ain't quiet. He was all loud in the inbox.
He was like, your inbox was crazy. What's my background? Like my cultural background? I am Puerto Rican. My family is Puerto Rican. I was born here though in New York, but my parents were born in Puerto Rico.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Soy puertorriqueño myself, actually.
Hey, Boricua.
From Brooklyn. From Brooklyn.
Hey, I grew up in Queens, but Brooklyn, I was always in Brooklyn. My parents met in Brooklyn.
All right, that's what's up.
Yeah, McCarran Park.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, I got a question. If
Okay.
you could collaborate, right? If you could collaborate with any poet, living or deceased, who would it be?
Oh God. Damn. Oh my gosh. Damn, that's a good, I need a second to think about that. Because there's so many people.
Yeah, I feel
But now I gotta
you.
think about like somebody that would like complement my style. Okay, so if it's like a written poem,
Mhm.
I feel like I would like to write a poem with Maya Angelou, right? But performance wise, I don't. I mean, Erykah Badu is like a poet.
True, true.
I would love to do a poem with her, but probably. I gotta think about that. Give me a second. Let me answer another question, because I gotta think.
No doubt, no doubt. Anyone else with a question or comment? John, did you have another question or comment?
Oh, I'm doing too much. So like I'm editing books, designing flyers, and doing a whole bunch of things. So it's everything's crashed. But what is your background? Yes, ethnically.
Ethnic, I'm Puerto Rican. My family's Puerto Rican.
Okay.
I'm Boricua.
Why? No, I'm not gonna ask that because I know the answer.
Do you?
I do, because I know you. You don't know me, but I know you. I know when you started. I know the first place you did your venues at. Because as a host and poet and I curator who has done so many things in New York City, I have to keep my ear to the street of everybody new who comes out. So when you first came out, there was a big controversy. Nobody knows this. So there was a big controversy with JRose.
Me?
Yes. So fun fact,
What did I do?
you just existed.
Oh, damn. That seems to be the problem sometimes. Yeah, yeah.
The controversy was JRose came out, started doing these events and started doing all these things. And we was like, who the hell is JRose? The only JRose we know is Johnny Rose.
Oh, yes. And people used to confuse us all the time.
Exactly. So people would show up to JRose event thinking it was a Johnny Rose event.
Oh, sugar.
And then would have to be like, oh, fuck it, I'm here. Let's see what she's doing.
There you go.
Wow.
They got stuck with me.
So I was just like, that's either a very good marketing thing that she's doing, or she's just oblivious to what's happening and she's just doing her own thing.
I was doing my
That
own
was-
thing. So
that
my
was
real
really
name,
great.
my real name is Jasmine
Jasmine.
Rosario.
Yes, I know.
So that's where I got my name JRose from.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. So my question, so here's the question. Do you often, and this is for everybody else who doesn't know the answer, do you often speak Spanish in your poems?
I don't, and I'm trying to bring it more into, I have a few poems that I've written fully in Spanish, but I never performed them before. But I've been working on a few pieces where I'm trying to add more, just more parts of me into these poems that, that's why this poem was like, it took me a long time to write this last poem. Because I really, yeah, I really wanted it to, I wanted to do right by my ancestors.
It's important for you to do that. Speaking from someone who's been doing this a very long time, just hosting. I've been hosting for over 20 years. Hosting, curating, putting together performances. I used to host 8 shows a month
Oh my gosh, I could
in New York
never.
City.
I would go crazy.
In New York City, I used to host 8 shows a month from the year 2000 to the year 2013.
Wow.
Wow.
8 shows a month. So
That's crazy.
I've heard all the cliches. I've seen all the gimmicks.
Yeah.
I've heard all the poets who sound like poets who don't really know where that poet got their voice from.
Right.
So it's interesting. But I think it's important for you to add more of you into every piece that you do.
Yeah. I feel
Because-
like that's why lately my writing the last 2 years has gotten, for me, in my opinion, better or evolved, because I'm really tapping into more vulnerability. Like the first poem I did tonight, like that was the most vulnerable poem I've ever written. Like I never get that deep in my poetry. And it took me 3 months to write that poem because it was so deep. But I'm starting to really just be more raw in my art. And I feel like it's bringing me to create more relatable art that people are like able to connect with easily. I also think that that's like the secret sauce to winning slams. I've won quite a few, and I'm not even like, that's not even my thing. I just was like, all right, sure, I'll give it a shot. I'll share these poems. And I'm like winning these slams, and I'm like, oh, wow. And against people that I'm like, wow, I think their poem is phenomenal. But it's just my poetry was a little more relatable, and people were able to connect with it a little bit more.
Is the authenticity of the work that you're bringing out.
Yeah, trying to do as much as I can.
I think because you cater to a whole different audience than Johnny Rose, it's important for you to let people know who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to, I think in this creative space, I've run into other poets that go by the name JRose also.
Mhm.
And it's like, at first I'm like, who the fuck are you? That's my name. But
Yep, that's a fight back in the days.
but then it's like, I am JRose, and that person could be whoever they are. If they want to call themselves JRose, they are that their own JRose. But
And
I'm
it's funny because that's how things have changed. I remember in 1999, there were two poets with the same name.
oh my gosh.
These mother lovers literally had to slam to keep the name.
Oh,
And
that's
whoever, yeah, whoever, I'm talking about, this is old school, Brooklyn Moon. This is,
Damn.
God.
and
That's taking
if,
it back.
yeah, and if you lost, you can never use that name again.
That's crazy.
Like that's the era I came up in with those writers. Like,
I would be so sad if
oh, yeah.
if I
Yeah.
was a brand new poet.
Your whole identity has to change after that.
Oh, God. That
Like,
was tragic.
you can't even say the artist formerly known as, no, because that's no
Oh.
longer your, like, you gave that privilege up a long time ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
crazy.
It's bad.
Yeah. And it's funny because I didn't, when I first came into the scene, like I really didn't know anybody. Like I came by myself. I didn't come to
Yeah.
an open mic with a friend that introduced
No,
me to a friend
you
that
was a
introduced me.
loner.
Like it was just me by myself at these places in the corner, listening to other people, following them on social media. Like I didn't know nobody. I literally just from scratch just came out of nowhere. Like raw.
And that's the hardest thing to do. It's
It was
hard
very
when you don't have anyone to show you the ropes, so to speak.
no.
I remember when I first started, I wanted to book an artist who was well known. And the dude straight up said, I don't think you could afford me. I said, okay.
Damn.
I was like,
Wow.
I said, fair enough. That's cool.
That's crazy.
So me, because I'm a certified asshole, I booked all his friends.
Now he has to come and support.
Oh.
I booked
And you not on the ticket.
No, I booked each and every one of his friends
Wow.
for 9 consecutive months.
Oh shit.
So he calls, he's like, hey, I see you got this person. I see you got Roger Bonaire at guard. I see you got, Five Dog's mom. I see you got, all these well-known. When can I get on? I'm like, brother, sorry. I'm booked.
Sorry, I don't know if I have the budget for you.
Yeah, no, I told him, I was like, I'm booked for the next 2 years. I said, ask one of the homies if they can give you stage time. I said, when I came to you humbly, you was like,
I know.
Like,
That's
oh,
what
you
made
missed
me.
it.
That's why I was a little bit like hesitant when I really was trying to curate this lineup for Legends.
it's hard.
Because I was afraid of like having that response from any of them. Well, at least from like I never met Obi West before, right? I never seen him perform in person. I know him through social media.
Oh no, he's a beast.
And he like doesn't know who I am from a hole in the wall. So when I reached out to him, it was very like professional. It was email and like he is one of the 8 years that I've been working with people, booking people and all that stuff. He's one of the easiest, most chill people to ever work with. That man he wants for nothing. He asked for 2 simple things and that's it. Like he's not on some diva shit. Sometimes you book like these well-known poets and they come through like on some diva shit and you're just like, bro, just come here and do some work. Just say the words, just say the poems.
Right.
So I was scared. I was scared that they were gonna say no. But luckily, everybody that I asked to be on that lineup said yes.
You know what it is what I always tell curators, everybody. You can't be afraid. You just have to be honest. Hey, I'm doing this event. This is the idea. This is who I got booked. This is how much it's paying. This is how much it's not paying. I feed you.
Right.
But the other thing is when you've done this for so long and everybody's like, oh, you get great exposure. It's like exposure. You found
Yeah.
me. How much
I'm
more
not.
exposure do I need if you found me?
Right.
I
Exactly.
Nah,
didn't find you.
that's not me at all. Like if it's like my friend who's like, oh, I'm doing an open mic and it's my first time doing an open mic, will you come through? I'll come and perform, pop up for the open mic and stuff. But like to come through or do a feature set, like people be trying to come do 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, oh, well, you get exposure. Bro, I'm good. unless you're like talking about you're gonna put me on Madison Square Garden type of stage, like what more?
Yeah,
You
it's
know what I
very
mean? Like
different.
you gotta know when exposure is actually worth it, you know,
You have
because
to know
there's
and you have to know your value,
right,
right?
absolutely.
Like you have to know what you're worth. Like, okay, so I remember when I was young and hungry, I'm doing everything. I will poem for food.
Mhm.
Oh, you ain't got no money, but you got a sandwich and a Coke. I'm there. Cause at
Yeah,
that time you're like, yo, what do you want to do?
right. You just want a stage too at that point.
Nowadays, I don't come out the house unless it's reasonable.
That's facts.
And gas is high.
It is.
That's
Yo, it
fact
is.
though.
Gas
It's
is
like they
high.
say, exposure don't pay the bills. You know what I
And
mean?
that's why for me it was so important for me to make sure that I came with a number that was respectable for the people that I was
Of course.
inviting onto here, because I didn't want to undermine them either, because I respect people's prices. Whether I think you deserve that amount of money, that's my opinion, right? That's my opinion, right? And I'm entitled to it, but I also am going to respect your prices. If you're out of my budget, I don't have to work with you. I know 1,000 other poets that will work
Yeah.
with me at the budget that I'm working with. And then if anything changes and I happen to get a bigger budget, I would love to bring those people on. But
And
I'm a big believer
respectfully,
at making
yeah.
sure poets get paid. The last 2 years I have featured for free a few times for like really close friends, but for the most part, if I'm stepping on stage for more than 5 minutes, I'm getting paid for it. Like
You
let's
have
do
to.
this.
You
You're gonna
have
pay for these poems.
the thing, and is what I always tell people, you can't, there's a rule. If you charging at the door, you making money. If you making money, I have to make money.
Exactly. I know platforms that make so much money, don't pay their feature artists, and they basically are using like content as like the compensation.
Gotta
Oh, you'll
educate.
get a professional video of your performance.
That's
Are you
something.
fucking kidding me? I could ask one of my friends with their amazing smartphone to take the
Exactly.
videotape my friend Mr. Figueroa right here, and his amazing phone will come through and do that for me. Pay me for my poems, because
Exactly.
I'm gonna bring people out. People gonna come through to see the set. I'm gonna put on a show because I've developed a set now that includes music like musicians, like actual live musicians. So it's like, what's up? You gonna pay for this experience, or you can just get somebody else and get that free kind of poetry.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. It's all about upholding a standard. Absolutely correct.
I learned this amazing lesson from a businesswoman who said, when somebody says to you, I can get that for less somewhere else, your rebuttal is like, well, I have clients to pay more for it. So what you want to do?
Facts.
It's up to you. You
Exactly.
can do that. I have clients that pay a lot more than what I'm telling you to pay. So thanks for that.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Very, very valid points made. Thanks for that, John Chance. That's what's up. All right, y'all. Before we wrap out, is there anyone else with a question or comment for JRose? I see that you noted your Instagram, JRose. Instagram,
Yes.
My Crumbled Thoughts.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Aside from the Legends Ball you have coming up, are there any other events or projects that you would like to share with our audience before we close out?
I mean, other than my monthly open mic that is every second Friday in Brooklyn at a place called Secret Pour. It's every second Friday, so the next one is next Friday. I am getting ready to publish my first book, so be on the lookout. It's going to include about 15 years worth of poetry in that book. So I'm excited to share that type of poetry with people, because they're going to get an opportunity to see work that I wrote before I started performing. So it's like page poems, not stage poems, which are written very different for me. So thank you, Mark. Love you too. So yes, I will be publishing my first book. The aim is to release the book in January. And then a couple months after that, I'll be releasing my first poetry album. So those are the two big projects that I'm working on. I just gotta get through October 22nd and get this showcase like out of my like, it's like here, I need to get it out, so that I could like go full blown, like, let's get this album done, let's get this book out, all that.
Wow, that's what's up. That's what's up. Well, congratulations on those projects. I'm looking
Thank
forward
you.
to getting that book in my hand. Most definitely. Most
I
definitely.
can't wait.
Yeah, that's going to be epic for sure. All right, y'all. So as we close out, there's this one more thing that I need to do. And that is to say thank you. Thank you, JRose. This was a dynamic conversation.
Thank you.
Poetry was fire, no question. And, you know, I just want to encourage you, keep doing your thing. Congratulations on everything that you have accomplished up until this point. And I wish you all the best in whatever you have coming up, you know, your book and any other projects or endeavors that you put your hands to. I wish you nothing but the best. Phenomenal poet, phenomenal event host. Ladies and gentlemen, JRose is the bomb. If you have not experienced her in person, I firmly suggest you make it your business to check out one of her open mics or any of her other events. You will not be disappointed, no question. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for the next episode of season 3. Episode 4 will be featuring another poet by the name of John J. Trouse. He'll be coming up on Tuesday, October 10th at 8 p.m., also on Zoom. For more information about Poets with Purpose and the P.W.P Sessions podcast, you can call me at 646-372-6230, or you can email me at poetswithpurpose@gmail.com. All of my logos and flyers have been designed by the awesome team at Eclipse Graphics. You can find them on Instagram at @Eclipse Graphics New York. And lastly, for those of you interested in making a donation, you can do so through PayPal, Tap Media Man, Cash App, $Anointed Pen, or Zelle, utilizing my phone number. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap for episode number 3. This episode will be uploaded to the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel within the next hour or so. So be on the lookout for that. Once it's available, you'll be able to share it amongst your social media channels. Thank you all so much. Thank you, JRose, for being my guest. Thank you to my audience. Y'all have a good evening and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right,
Oh,
Jay.
thank you.
JRose. All right.